Next one. Let's talk about Weaver. Weaver. Oh, Weaver. Weaver is fucking hilarious, man. I told you he was bald. Weaver's one of the ugliest motherfuckers I ever know in my life. I've heard girls say he's got pretty eyelashes. I don't think anyone's ever fucked someone because of their eyelashes. He's got. He's always had dirty little brown teeth, bald, horrible acne, can't grow a beard. Just, I'm not that good looking either, but like even compared to me, he's ugly. But the guy always did great with chicks. Did great with girls somehow, which was hilarious because he did pretty good with girls. Not like legendary, but better than me and Henson and Silent Nate. Like he did all right, man. He was a good talker. He's funny, shit. But I remember he got his dick sucked by a freshman in the stairwell. I guess he was a sophomore. He was like a senior. It was in the stairwell at school. I mean, that's pretty fucking nice, dude. I mean, seriously, getting your dick sucked, getting a fucking blowjob. Because his parents were stupid Southern Baptists like mine, so he was like constantly. He literally got kicked out of his parents' house like 2 months before he graduated too. And his parent, he was always grounded, always fucking grounded. Was never allowed to do anything. So like he literally met up with this girl. Only time they could do this was at school, which hilarious. He did lots of funny shit like that. I remember it was funny because the girl I was at the school too, and I rode the bus with this girl that got Blue Weaver. I looked at her as like a little sister, and she was kind of shy and shit. I remember one day she told me she had a boyfriend, and I was like, "Oh, that's so nice! Like, I'm so happy for you." Like, as a older, like I said, I'm like a grade above her too. I was in high school. And I was like, well, "Who's your boyfriend?" She's like, he said he knew you. He said he's friends with you. His name's Weaver." He told me that. I was like, "Holy shit! You need to break up with him right now." She's like, "Why? I thought he's a good guy." I was like, "No," because I just knew this poor girl. And it's not poor girl, whatever. I'm so she looks back on that fondly now, getting some head, blowing a dude in high school. Sure, she doesn't tell the kid. Hopefully, she does. Hopefully, like Thanksgiving, she's like, and just want to cut this turkey, cranberry sauce, it looks delicious. And when I was a sophomore, I blew a senior in the stairwell at UWall. And they just all look at her. They finally stop looking at their phones. She's like, "Yeah, bet you didn't know a world like that, huh?" But he did lots of funny shit, Weaver. Besides getting his dick sucked in the hall or in the stairwell, uh, he stole potato chips from a blind girl at her school, which is like, pretty sure he's gonna go for hell for that. For one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But we had a blind girl at our school, and it was during lunch, and she had her tray, and she had a bag of Doritos, a little, those little small bags of Doritos. Oh my god, I didn't do this shit. I'm just laughing at it. I was there watching him do it though. He snuck over to the blind girl. She was eating. She was like albino looking too. She was kind of weird looking. So like a blind albino dude. And for some reason, she had like 5 bags of chips on her tray. Uh, but still, she's a blind girl. We were, and he snuck over in the middle of lunch, and she's eating her food, and he took a bag of chips off her fucking tray, and came back to us and ate it. We're like, "Dude, you're going to fucking hell." He's like, "Dude, I'm hungry." I can still see it. I can still see him sneaking over. Oh, so great. Oh, I love that fucker so much. So, high school, the best times of your life. Anyone's in high school right now listening to this, just, go kick your best friend in the balls. Oh, I'd give anything just to kick my friend in the balls. I can't do that. Once you hit my age, if I was at a party and kicked my friend in the balls, everyone would like look at me like, "What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Are you insane? You fucked it. He's got cancer. He's got balls. We're old men. But man, in high school, he just kicked the shit out of your friend in the balls, and everyone would just point at him and laugh and laugh. Oh, that was so fun. We used to do this shit in high school called when we like skip school, we call it busting, or dipping. We'd be like, we're gonna dip out. But we'd say bush, just BUST, and bush just meant leave immediately, don't make a noise. And we do this shit to each other. They did it to me, I did it to them. You'd be at someone's house. Usually it's at their house. You wouldn't just like leave them somewhere without a ride, but it'd always be at like their house. So you'd like hang out with your friends at their house. And we'd just be hanging out at their house. You'd be playing video games. There'd be like 6 or 7 of us. Maybe just smoking weed, whatever the fuck we were doing. This would be in the middle of the night, in the middle of the afternoon. So like whoever's house it was, they'd like get up to go to the bathroom, and we just look at each other and be like, "Bust." We just whisper it, and we just get up and leave them. And they'd come out of the bathroom or whatever, and we'd just all be gone. Just rude as shit. Didn't say a fucking thing. Just would leave them. They'd call you, be like, "Where'd you guys go?" We'd be like, "Huh?" We'd act like we couldn't hear them on the phone. Like, "What?" We'd just yell "bust" and hang up the phone and start laughing. They did it to me sometimes. I did. It was so fucking funny. So fucking rude. But fuck, was it funny. It was just my friends at Oodle. I remember it happened to me and my friend that didn't go to Oodle. We were at his house, and my friends did it to me and him. And we just saw the back of the car driving on the driveway, and he's like, where are they going?" I was like, "They busted." He's like, "What?" I was like, they just left." He's like, "Why? It's so rude. Why would they do that?" I was like, "This is what we do to each other." This is fucking hilarious. So sorry, I hope that wasn't a big gulp you heard in the mic. So, you know, you got different groups of friends in high school, or at least I did. I had like 3 or 4 groups of friends. And they hang out together sometimes, but for whatever reason, you got different groups of friends. And we were, you know, probably because he was shitty Southern Baptist parents like me, we were just always doing stupid shit together. And we used to, big thing we used to do in high school, we used to call it Free Beer Thursday or Free Beer Wednesday. Our parents would both make us go to like youth group. We were like in high school, and our fucking parents were still like trying to make us go to church and shit. Some point when I was like in 8th grade, like high school, probably after the group home, they were like, we're not gonna. If you don't want to go to church, we're not gonna force you. So immediately, I was just like, okay, I'm never going to church. Okay, they're just like, it's not what we meant. We thought you just start going on your own, but fuck you, you're going. So most of high school, if I went to church, it was just punishment. And we went to different churches, but I don't know how to describe how fucking lame it is to go to church when you're in high school, especially youth group, because no one fucking goes to this shit. It's just like you and a youth pastor. I remember our youth pastor, he like blew it hardcore. Like the guy that before him packed it, which he ended up being a child molester. Uh, I don't remember his name. I'm thinking of it. He was a guy that he was a teacher at Oodle. You can look him up. His name was Rick something. But I guess he was a good youth pastor. I guess not that good, but he motherfucker packed a house. I can say that. I don't know about what the extra shit he did. God, this guy was creepy. I can't remember the coach. He was a coach too. I think he coached girls softball. I think I know his name, but I'm not going to say it just in case I say it wrong. But you can just look it up. Guy, teacher, youth pastor, caught molesting kids, 2004, 5, 6, something around there. And this guy was so creepy. This isn't the youth pastor. The youth pastor at my church was a nerd. His name was David Grant, but not a sexual pervert at all. Just kind of a nerd. A youth pastor. So I want to make that very separate. Different stories. But the guy that used to teach at Oodwall, his first name was Rick. Pretty sure I don't want to say his last name because I'm afraid I'll fuck it up. But this guy Rick, coach, great man. I remember he like hung out with the high schoolers, like outside school. He'd take them spelunking, like friends of mine. He'd be like, "We're gonna go caving." I just, I guess, called caving. And first of all, who the fuck hangs out with a teacher like outside of school? Like, go fuck yourself. Like, we're in high school. It's not like we were little kids. It's like, no, I don't want to hang out with a fucking teacher outside of school. I don't want to hang out with any adult. You know what I'm saying? When you're a teenager, it's like, ugh. When you're around an adult, it's like, fucking, I'm on probation here. I gotta watch my language. You can't say. And as soon as parents aren't around, they're like, holy shit, let's get stoned and fucking grab some tits, whip our dicks out. Let the puppies breathe. Back in my day, we'd party. Everyone just chicks would pull their tits out constantly. Constantly, chicks would flash you. They just pull their shirts up and show you their tits. Nowadays, that's all fucked up shit. But when I was growing up, you'd run around the house naked. Everyone thought it was hilarious. You'd be at a house party drinking. You just get butt naked, run through the middle of the house. Everyone just start dying laughing. And then you'd walk in with your clothes on like 30 seconds later and be like, "Why? What happened? What happened? What, did I miss something?" And you'd run around the house, you'd bet each other, you'd play poker, you lose a hand. I dare you're at, truth or dare, run around the house naked, shit like that. Yeah, I guess chicks don't do that kind of shit anymore. Guys don't do, you just pull your dick out, wave it around. It's fuck, it was so funny. I hope people start thinking that kind of shit's funny again. I know some people still do. Like, my friends I'm really tight with, we still do that kind of shit. It's funny. But, like, Jesus Christ. Younger kids. What the hell happened? Why don't you whip your genitals out in public anymore? The rambling ADD podcast. What was I talking about? Whipping my genitals out, chicks flashing, high school. So, we used to go to. I don't give a shit. I don't give these stories anymore. Who gives a fuck? I just love stories. I know some people don't. I just love stories. Love listening to guy stories. So, I very like youth. I was just telling Marty the story the other night. She was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "I know, right?" But since I was talking about David Grant, my youth pastor, like I said, who's a good guy. I like David Grant. Very awesome guy. He's got a wife, kids. You know, he was a good youth pastor. But you know what I'm saying, nerd. Yeah. So our church, I don't know what the fuck happened. I said it wasn't his fault. We used to have a bunch of people at this one church I went to. I don't know. I think they got an argument over the carpet or some shit. Half the fucking church ends up leaving. Go to another church, maybe more than that. So there's a lot of this church. So like at the youth group shit, there'd be like 6 or 7 of us in there. So it'd just be David. Poor David. Now as a comic, I feel so bad for the guy trying to rock a crowd. He went from a crowd of like 200 to like a crowd of like 6 of us, man. Because the old people of the church are arguing about carpet, and they wanted to get new carpet. No, it's going to be this color, that color. We don't need new carpet. It's a waste of money. Literally, that's what I was told as a kid. Who knows what's true? Probably because a guy named Lee Templeton was raping a bunch of kids there. That's a different guy, but I'll say his name because I remember it. That creepy fuck. So, David Grant, youth pastor, he's telling us this story. We're just bored. He's doing this church. He's like, we want to hear this shit. We're in high school, heard it a million times. God, Jesus, all this shit. And somehow he tells a story. Like I'm like 17 or some shit. He's talking to like 6 or 7 of us, right? High schoolers. Boys. I remember it was just boys. And he was like, somehow he's telling a story about when you're freezing to death, the only way to survive is you gotta get naked with someone in a sleeping bag. I don't know how the fuck he gets on this shit, but somehow he's telling a story about Jesus and saving people. And if you're freezing to death, what you gotta do is if you're with someone, is the best way to warm up is be naked in a sleeping bag with them, and they won't die. And like he looks at me like dead serious, and is like, I don't know how he went into this thing. He's talking about this analogy about being in a sleeping bag and saving their life, and Jesus or some shit. I don't know how the fuck this is his thing, but he's talking about this. He looks right at me. He goes, "Brian, you'd get in a sleeping bag with me to save my life, wouldn't you?" And I was like, "No, David, I wouldn't." And he like got his feelings were hurt. He's like, "No, come on, really? If I was dying and freezing to death, you wouldn't get naked in a sleeping bag with me?" and both of us naked in a sleeping bag to save my life. And I was like, no, David, I wouldn't. And I meant it. And I was a virgin 17, 16-year-old. Yes, dude, I would rather freeze to death than get in a sleeping bag naked with my youth pastor to survive. Or at least save his life. If it was both of us die, yes. But just to save your life, not even like a question would I do it. No, absolutely not. I would watch you freeze to death. I'm not getting. But I was telling Mario that story the other night. He was like, "What the?" I was like, "I know. It's just one of those random memories I had of being. Why? I would just sit there as a high school. It's like, why am I here? This guy's talking about wanting to get in a sleeping bag naked with me. And like I said, he wasn't a pervert. This is in his Christian mind. This was a great analogy that I was supposed to understand and be like, yes, brotherly love. But it was a bad sermon for him. I don't think he probably did that one again. The guy that molested a bunch of people was named Lee Templeton. I guess it was. You can look it up, but I have friends come out and say, I think it happens in every church. This is part of church. So, anyways, me and Weaver used to have free beer Wednesdays, I think it was called. And after we got out of youth, some point my parents would let me stay out late till like midnight or something. I think after the group home thing, they were trying to keep me in a group home forever. Then at some point, I had a bunch of collapsed lungs and my health got real bad. So the group home was like, you have to take your kid. We can't take care of him. So I think, well, I know my parents' plan was just to keep me there indefinitely till I was like 18 or out of high school. So when I came home, they're just like, oh, hey, bud. Hey. You know, it was literally like a dog they tried to shoot in the head, and I survived it. And it was like back in the reports, like, hey, awkward to see the least. So they were trying for a while to be like, you can have all the freedom you want. No, not all the freedom I want, but they're like, you can stay out till 11 on a Friday, or 1 or 2 or whatever. So we'd take the car out, and me and Weaver used to go to this place, get some books. There's this, well, actually, we'd get these like DVDs and shit. We were on VHS. We'd go to this used CD bookstore called Used Books McKay's. I think you mentioned it in another one. Still there, plays awesome. And we'd go in there and steal some DVDs and videos. Remember, we'd always steal the Rocky Horror Picture Show on VHS. I never saw it for years, but it was worth like more money than the other one. So we stole the exact same copy and sold it back to them literally like a dozen times. We literally started putting marks on the inside of the case of the VHS, like little notches, just to keep track of how many times we returned. And literally we didn't even do that until after we'd done it multiple times. And we was up to like 9 or 8 times. We probably did it over a dozen times, just this one VHS, every week for a while, among other things. So we'd go in there, steal it. One of us would go in there, steal it. And the other one would go in there, return the shit, sell it, because they bought used shit. And then we take that money, go to a gas station, get some homeless guy to buy us beer. We just ask, hey, I'll give you some. And no one ever fucked us. They'd always go in there, get our beer, and come out and hand us what we wanted. And then we just drive around Appleton, Tennessee. I drive around. And we just get drunk, man. And I say drunk. We weren't getting shit faced, you know. Yeah, it was stupid as shit, but you know, kids. And we'd go to Appleton because there was nothing the fuck out there. We never saw cops. There was nothing. It was just country roads. You could drive for like 30, 40 minutes on these back roads without ever seeing another car. You know, all you do is just go in a ditch and hit a cornfield or some shit. And we did do that on purpose, just to be away from everyone. But, you know, it's fun shit like that. Me and Weaver did. You know? Really good fucking friends, man. That shit you do in high school, man. House parties and shit like that. And so Weaver, like I said, we were the same age because I was held back a grade. Uh, I don't even think they do that shit anymore. Um, that was a thing. They'd make kids repeat grades. It's stupid as shit. Um, just makes you feel horrible as a kid. Um, I'm not gonna get in my whole rant about education, but it sucks if you're held back a grade. You think you're good at sports, and you just find out you're older than everyone. And so Weaver's a grade above me. So after we graduated high school, I'm a senior now. He got his own place. He had a roommate, and this roommate did security at that bar I mentioned earlier, JJ's in the last podcast. Back then it was called the Local. It's got different owners now, so I can say whatever. So he was a door guy, so he would just let us in when we were like 17. I was like 18, 19. I was a senior in high school. So we could go to this bar and drink, dude. We were treated like adults, man. And it was great. And that venue was awesome. We saw a bunch of live music there and shit. And it was a blast, man. And a lot of music, a lot of live music. All these great bands coming, a lot of great local bands. There were Needles and Dr. Shock and the Go Go Monsters and Choke Slam. Uh, up Up with the Joneses. Diesel Hum. A lot of that's just some of them, man. I remember all these great local bands, man. We see a lot of punk shows, a lot of mosh pits, all that good shit, man. All that great shit. Punk houses. There used to be a punk house we used to go to called Anarchy. Antarctica. It was like spin on Antarctica and Anarchy. Just in a basement, garbage bags full of trash cans, full of beer cans, man. It'd be like 20 of us in a basement just going nuts. Because he punk shows at a liquor store. It's called Ziggy's. It closed, but those guys were awesome. It was a little liquor store, cinder block, little building, and they had an outlet out back, and they would just let us plug amps and shit into that and do shit. I never played music there. I just always go to shows back then. It was great, and they just give a spot so kids could fucking do their shit. And so it was a really fun time, man. Right after high school, Weaver shaved his head, looked a lot better. Just started bicking it, shaving it bald, and we just party, man. It was fun. Silent Nate, Holly, Sean, we'd all be down there. And Weaver worked at Red Lobster. And he used to call it the stinky fish or some shit, man. This place was so nasty. It was so gross. He was working there one night. He was in the kitchen and one of the he heard one of the servers start like, when you eat something gross, you're like, oh, and he spit it out. He heard the server doing that. He was a server. He heard another server doing that in the back. He ate something, spit it out. And he's like, what the fuck? He looks in because he was eating what is it, that marinara? What was it, the cocktail sauce? He was eating something with the cocktail sauce, spit it out. He looked in the cocktail sauce because it tasted horrific. Looked at the cocktail sauce, full of maggots. Maggots all in the cocktail sauce. Dude, they had just like started. They'd only been open like 30 minutes. The place was packed though. They had this cocktail sauce on like every fucking table in this restaurant. It's like 100 something people that have this rotten, maggot filled cocktail sauce. None of the customers have realized it though yet. I guess it didn't taste that bad, but there's maggots in it. It was bad. So the manager went to the power box, turned off the fucking power. So it was pitch black in the restaurant. Told all the customers the power went out. And just to get up and safely walk out. They couldn't do to go boxes because they couldn't bring anything up. And they didn't have to pay for anything because the cash registers were out. So just whatever you got to eat, good for you. You got a free meal. Just to get out of that. Which is real scumbag shit, but also kind of genius to do all that shit. I remember he came home and told us that one night. I was like, holy shit. It's kind of genius. And yeah, so he worked there at the Red Lobster. They had those cheesy biscuits and shit. I guess most of the time the food wasn't running. And then, shit changes sometimes. His roommate, I remember his name, I don't want to say it. He's got a wife and kid now. But we would get back after a shift, and he would go to this kitchen counter. A lot of us, we'd be there maybe before his shift got off. Maybe we get there like 10 and he showed up there like 10:30. You know, we already were starting a party at his place, you know? You know how it wasn't when you're kids, you'd be like, yeah, go to my place. I don't give a shit. The front door's unlocked. You didn't even give a shit. You'd walk into your own house. There's already a party going, and you were just happy because the party was going, you know? So he'd walk in. We'd already have the party going. He'd be like, oh, hell yeah, blah. Let me get caught up, blah, blah. He'd pound a beer, shit. Then he'd go to the counter. And I noticed he'd pull out the shit and then take a credit card on it, mush it around a little, sniff it. I was like, oh, what are you, crushing up a pill? And he's like, no, man, this is meth. You guys know how that goes. That's when shit kind of started to change for Weaver. Um, at first, we'd party at his place. He would always just do a little line, like the width of a toothpick and about half that long. That was it. And we'd watch him do it. He'd offer us some, and we'd be like, no, I'm good. His roommate would do it. Silent Nate would do it. And the rest of us would just drink and hang out, you know, smoke weed. Uh, I did a line with him one time. Out of probably hundreds of times I was offered it, I did do a line one time. Not very proud of it, but yeah, I'll save that story for another time. But it you know it just that's when Weaver started like doing meth and shit. Him and Silent Nate, and they started. You know he just did that shit, and it was like whatever. There was a lot of meth and shit back then in Tennessee. A lot of people get really fucked up on Xanaxes, and I didn't do that shit. I did Xanaxes once, felt like an idiot, never did it again. And I did a line of meth one time, never did it again. But that's when, yeah, I don't know, man. I think everyone's got these stories of when the party and the shit changes. I had to quit hanging out there with Weaver for a while because you know he was just doing meth all the time. Him and Silent Nate. You know, I just quit hanging out with them for a while, and then I hung out with them years later. Both of them quit doing it. They did it there for a couple years though. So that was, you know, whenever people just do shit like that, you just kind of distance yourself from them. Those real hardcore drugs, you know, doing a line of coke here and there, doing some coke. Meth and coke are just such different animals, though. As I guess fuckers will find out as they grow up. Yeah, Weaver, Silent Nate, you know, they're just crazy motherfuckers. They would just smoke meth. I remember they invited me to this house in Georgia one time. Georgia's real close to where I grew up, right there on the line of Chattanooga. And there was this really hot girl, man. She was so hot. This blonde chick, huge tits, just like super fine, man. And we go to the apartment, and they're like, "Oh yeah, blah blah." This is like our meth dealer. I was like, "This is here getting meth from? Like this fucking 10? This like hot ass chick? You know, she was a Southern chick, you know, because we're in the South, so had a fucking sexy ass Southern accent and shit." So we go over there, man. This fine ass chick, and they started doing this shit called hot rails, and they were like put the meth white powder in a line, and then you take out like a blowtorch. Now everyone's gone for the dabs, but it's like a dab blowtorch. Back then it was just a huge blue one, like construction guys would use. And they'd heat up a glass pipe, just a clear tube of glass, looks like a crack pipe. And then they'd inhale. They'd heat up the glass pipe with a blowtorch till the end of it was like red hot. And the glass pipe would be like as long as a lighter. And then they'd snort the powder, and then they'd blow out these giant clouds of white smoke, man. Just like, and I was like, what the fuck? And they were like, yeah, this is hot rails, man. It's like, fuck snorting it. It's like super duper shit. And then, of course, they were like, you want to try it? And I was like, nah, dude, I'm good. I'm just going to smoke this shitty swag here. And Silent Nate was a funny motherfucker, man. They used to always hang out at, like, the shittiest fucking sports bars. And Silent Nate used to fake an Irish accent and fuck chicks. That shit got him laid 4 or 5 times, dude. He would fake. You know, it was before you could just carry the whole world in your pocket on a cell phone, so you'd lie to lying to women was a lot easier if you're a piece of shit. And he'd tell chicks he's from fucking Ireland. He'd fake an accent, and they'd be like, "Really?" And he'd be like, "Oh, right." And he wouldn't even like make up a small town. They'd be like, "Where are you from?" Like, "Oh, Dublin." And it wasn't even a good accent, but it worked for him. Hilarious, man. He got laid. Some chick still to this day is like, "I made love to an Irishman one night. It was the greatest night ever. He was visiting. Oh, it's so great." One of my favorite memories about Silent Nate is he had this. Silent Nate was from Alabama, which is right close to there, but he moved to Chattanooga when he was like 14 or something, right? So he had this childhood best friend. I do not remember this guy's name. We're just gonna call him Bill. All right. For this story, this guy's name's Bill. So Silent Nate. It was like the goofy ass childhood friend you fucking have when you're a kid. Your parents are like friends, and then they try to get y'all to be best friends, but then like eventually you just hit high school and realize you don't have anything in common. And don't really want to be friends anymore. I guess they still were friends, but it was such an awkward friendship because Silent Nate dressed like emo shit. By the time we got to like high school and shit, he was like full blown like emo. And, you know, no one really did that shit back then, but he had like the skin. Well, they did, but it was when that really started getting popular. But he'd have like the skinny jeans on, the tattoos. He got his dick pierced. He got the. I remember I was at the apartment. Me and Weaver ended up living together in Tennessee. The last place I lived in Tennessee was with Weaver. Silent Nate didn't pay rent, but he slept there every night. You know how it is in your 20s. And me and Weaver, Henson, we're all tripping shrooms at my house. Silent Nate calls us and he's like, "Hey, I'm at a tattoo parlor. Should I get my dick pierced?" And I'm tripping on shrooms, so the idea of a man piercing his dick, I can't even handle. So I'm like, "No, don't do that shit, man." And of course, he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." He just hangs up the phone. We keep tripping. He comes in the house like an hour later. He's like, "Guys, check it out." Pulls out his pants. Fucking Prince Albert. I'm fucking tripping. I'm just like, I can't handle that. Ah. And it was so funny. He'd take pictures of it. He had a little carabiner with his car keys on it, and he'd put the carabiner through the Prince Albert and tangle his car keys from his dick ring. He'd take a photo of it and send it to us. Great guy, man. So he had this buddy of his. So there's Silent Nate, who's like, sexy, cool looking emo guy. The dyed hair and the gel, all that shit. And then his fat, retarded looking friend Bill, who was just he had the body of he has a worse body than I do now. He was like 16, 17 years old. You would have swore the guy was 35. Had glasses, just dumpy dad bod, dressed like a dad, like walked around like old man New Balances and like Dockers and a tucked in polo and do like a dress belt. And it's like, what the fuck, man? But Silent Nate would bring him into town. Like, once in a while, this guy would come into town from Alabama, and Silent Nate would bring him around. Like, hey, man, it's my buddy Bill. And we'd all be like, who the fuck's Bill? He'd be like, oh, it's my childhood friend. And we'd be like, oh, yeah, your childhood friend. So, I only saw Bill. I remember hanging out with Bill. I think I met him once or twice. Probably smoked a bowl. And, like, Bill was a square, right? Square bear from Delaware. He didn't smoke pot. He didn't party. He was just like the way he looked. So when he hang out with Silent Nate was always partying with us. So, Bill, he was like a little cousin, a little brother. He's like, oh, I want to hang out with my buddy, but they're going to be doing I guess I'll try a pot. Maybe I'll try a pot. And we wouldn't like pressure him, but we were just like normal kids. Like, hey, do you want to hit this? And you could tell he'd be like, oh, I don't know. It's like, you don't even know what Silent Nate does, dude. They got fucking Hot Rails meth, dude. We're just smoking a little weed and drinking. Like, you're not even seeing, like, the worst of it, man. And, so I was living in an apartment building for a while that had a pool, which that's all I wanted. To live in an apartment building that had a pool, so I could just get shit faced in it. and annoy all the other neighbors so they can come to the pool. Me and my drunk friends and shit. So it's one of the times that Silent Nate has brought his childhood friend, has driven up from Bumblefuck, Alabama to hang out with us, you know, party animals, according, compared to him. So I have this apartment building with a pool, so we're going to get shit faced, right? So we get a bottle or two, because I wasn't 21 yet, but you got all our friends and shit. We get this shit all day back then. So we get a bottle, we start drinking, we're having fun, all right? Bill has never drank before, all right? We're about to be 21, we're around 19, 20 at this point. So it's like, come on, dude, you should have been drinking for 4 or 5 years already. So this kid, Bill gets like drunk. Like, so at some point, we're like, the pool closes at like 10. Oh, it wasn't at my spot, it was at Weaver's spot. It was someone else's apartment that had a pool. So at some point, the pool closed at like 10. We got to get out of there. So, like, we started drinking like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. He gets all shit faced. So, like, we start drinking 3 or 4. By like 6 or 7, he's like out of it. So, but we're like, whatever. He's in a lawn chair. We just keep drinking. He's in a chair. He'll sober up in a couple hours. Dude, like 3 or 4 hours pass. He's not sobered up at all. He's even drunker maybe now. So, we're all drunk too. But we're like, we got to get you out of here, Bill. We got to get you back to our place so you can go to sleep. So we're like, Bill, get up. I've never been through anything like this in my life. Now being an adult, I would just drove off, giving everyone the finger, told them to go fuck themselves. But I was a teenager. Whoops. That is my inverter. I got these 2 new little batteries I'm trying out, so this thing's going to beep once in a while. So Bill gets all drunk. So we're trying to leave this pool. We're like, we got to go, Bill. We're kids. I weighed like 160 pounds. Weaver weighed 160 pounds. Nate, me and Weaver like 6 foot. Nate is like 5'6", 5'7". He weighs like a $120. Bill is like 6'4" and at least 250 or 260. Right? He is massive. He may even more than that. So we're like, we gotta go. This drunk piece of shit refuses to stand up, refuses to roll over, nothing. We're doing everything to pick him up. We're like, dude, we gotta get out of here. All right? So now we're all in. Also, we're worried about cops because we're all underage. Even though we live in apartments where none of us are 21. So, but we're drunk. So we're just like screaming. We're just like, Bill, come on. Which, like I said, we're just being so stupid. Like, being louder than if we just left him sleeping peacefully on a chair. We're just like screaming at each other, all drunk, about how to get him out of there. And, trying to make drunken plans. You get that side, I get this side. Our voices just reverberating off the concrete in the pool. Every couple seconds, one of us will be like, shh, shut the fuck up, be quiet. Just screaming, be quiet, which, you know how being drunks are. Some of you don't, good for you, but for the rest of us degenerates trying to get through this shit with the help of alcohol, taking our Bukowski life, taking the Bukowski route through life, we fucking get hammered, drink our way through the low times and the good times. So, we're trying to get Bill into this car. So, we're the 3 of us, sort of me, Hinton, my little gang. We're trying to pick him up, get him in the fucking car, and he's just flopping all over the place, just head forward, head back, hitting the ground, making us hit the ground and he hits the ground. So we finally get to Silent Nate had a little. Oh, you think the Fast and Furious movies are big now? Back then, every kid with the Fast and Furious movies thought they were going to be Fast and Furious. So every kid was like, I'm going to buy a little Honda, little tiny rice burner. Somehow people are like, that's an offensive term. I don't know how that's offensive, dude, but they're Japanese car. Got a little rice burner. Silent Nate was like, I don't know what his goal was with this. All these guys would get these little cars, try to mod them, fix them up, would just end up fucking up their car. Silent Nate, I don't know what he's trying to do. I think he was trying to put cool LED lights, little light up lights on his like speedometer. What he ended up doing, ripping out his entire console? What is the front panel of your car? Like if you're sitting in the seat of your dash, he ripped off his entire dashboard, the whole fucking thing, and never got it back on. So it was just if you sat in his little car, it was just this pile of exposed wires and gears and all this shit. So our drunk asses are trying to get Bill in that car, and he's so big and fat. Sorry, I turned off the beeping. It's just gonna keep doing it. I'm fucking concentrating this shit. Fuck! I just spilled my goddamn drink. Ah, that's a bang energy drink all over the floor. Because now I don't have any goddamn lights on in my fucking shed. I live in a 12 by 12 foot shed. And now I don't have any lights on. And I just spilled a bang energy drink on the fucking floor. And now I got paper towels I'm trying to pick it up with. And I'm wearing socks. Now the bottom of my socks are wet. Wearing socks because my feet are bleeding. Because I was trying to hang up a hammock in here. So I stood on top of a 5-gallon plastic bucket. And as I was standing on it, it just shattered underneath my feet. Like exploded in 1,000, just underneath me. Alright, now I'm walking around pitch black with a lighter for light. Trying not to knock over a bunch of shit. I'm looking for some sort of headlamp or something. I'm gonna finish this goddamn Silent Nate story, Bill. I don't give a shit. Okay, here's a headlamp. Okay, sorry. I'm walking around with my phone. Fuck. You're gonna... Fuck. Here we go. There. Alright, got a light on. Alright. Shit. Sorry, I'm just setting the phone down. I got a light so you can see. Damn, I got bang energy drink all over this shit. Great. That takes down the market value of my shed. Great. I have to explain that to the realtors. Alright. And now it's in a rug. I think I'm going to add water to dilute it so it's not just straight bang energy drink. And it's just plywood underneath this, so it shouldn't. I'm just going to put some water on it. Diluted. I don't know if it's stupid or smart. It's too late now. I just added more. Fuck. Anyways. What the fuck was I talking about? God damn it. That light's too big too. I'm going to have to use a smaller light. Jesus Christ. I just heard one of my neighbors sneeze. Jesus Christ. That was a loud fucking sneeze. Oh yeah. Silent Nate. So we're trying to get this fat fuck Bill into his fucking car. And he's being such a piece of shit. He's doing everything. If he would just get in the small car, we could just drive off from this apartment building. So our underage asses don't get arrested for drinking in public. And he's not drunk enough to just be a sack of meat. He's just drunk enough to make everything as difficult as it can be. He wouldn't get in the car. He's like putting up his arms like, no. And we're like, dude, get the fuck in. He's like, no, he wouldn't bend over to get in this car. Like, just wouldn't squat down, wouldn't stick his arms in. And we'd get an arm in, he'd stick a fucking leg out. It was like 4 of us fighting, and we'd put a fucking leg in there, doing everything we can without, not punching him in the face and choking him out, trying to be friendly and shit. And he'd fucking grab with both arms and trying to pull himself out. We're like, dude, get the fuck in this car. Like I said, we're tiny compared to this guy. He was such a big fat fuck. He's probably like 6'3", 6'4", just fighting us. This overweight behemoth of a fat drunk fuck that can't handle his fucking liquor. So we're just like fighting with everything. It was so bad we couldn't get him in Nate's fucked up little car with all the bare wires exposed where he pulled out his dashboard. So we call Weaver over, and we're like, Weaver, get your Explorer, because it's bigger. We try to get him in this fucking Explorer. He won't get in. Eventually, we just grab him, pick him up, like hog-tied him. Literally had to like tie his hands and backs together. Picked him up, threw him in the back seat of the car, and slammed the doors. And just got him back to wherever the fuck, I guess Silent Nate's place where he's sleeping. We're just like, God damn it, Nate, what the fuck, man? We're all pissed about it. He's all sorry. Oh, man, I'm sorry, man, my friend. It's his fucking friend. He didn't know he was going to act like, But we love Nate. He's our guy, so we're just like, fuck. He's like, I know, I'm sorry. So that's the first time I met this guy, Bill, right? See this guy one other time. This is a couple years later. I'm living in a house with Weaver and two other people. Got this awesome house, North Chat. You know, it's cool walking distance, like downtown Chattanooga, all this shit. I got caught with a joint and was on probation. So I couldn't smoke weed. I believe at this time I had a warrant because I pissed them off. So I was literally hiding from the cops. Like I caught by them, I have to do a fucking year. Still to this day, I got a warrant. I got to do 11 months and 29 days if I get caught in Tennessee. All because of a joint. I'll tell that whole story later. But just for the story, you need to know that I'm on probation. Not on probation. There's active warrants for me. That's what you got to know. So I'm living with Weaver. Got a warrant. You know, life's good. You know, my friends always, crashing, staying there. I worked at a gas station down the road. One of the funnest jobs I ever had, working at a gas station. So fun. So I'm at work one night. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'm just sitting there. In comes my buddy, Henson. A lot of my friends would come in when I was working. Because I'd give them cigarettes for pretty much for free, beer. I used to steal so much beer and cigarettes from everything I needed. I would steal from this gas station. It was great. Just couldn't steal the cash, but everything else was a go. So he comes in. He waits in line. I see him in line. Got a couple people I'm ringing up. And he comes up to me. So I'm just getting ready, give him a pack of blunts, whatever. Ring up his beer for 50 cents instead of what it costs. He doesn't have anything in his hands. He just walks up to me. He just very casually goes, "Hey, just want to let you know, Nate and Bill at your house, and they're all fucked up on acid. All right, catch you later." He just kind of like taps my little counter like that and walks away. And I'm like, wait, what did you just say? He was like, Silent Nate and Bill are all fucked up on acid, and they're fucking up your place. I gotta go. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, I ain't gonna be hanging out at your house. I'm going home. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's going on there? He's like, Bill's losing it. I didn't know Bill was in town. I didn't even know Silent Nate was over at my house. He was there all the time, but he just went over there, decided to do acid with Bill. So it was like 10 o'clock at night. I don't get off for like another 2 hours. So I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm trying to call the place, see what's going on. No answer. So I get off like an hour and a half later. I get to the fucking house. I walk in. I had a lava lamp, and it's shattered all over the ground. I was just like, what? I walk in. Nate is like standing there. I open the door. He's got his arms out. His eyes all crazy. He's like, "Hey, Rupp, it's okay. I got this." I'm like, dude, what's going on? Bill is like rolling around on the ground, like screaming. His shirt's off. My lava lamp is shattered all over the ground. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, okay, Silent Nate's all fucked up on acid. So he's trying to explain this to me. He's like, Bill got freaked out by the lava lamp, had to destroy it. Now they're wrestling. And look, he's just like literally like wrapped up in the cord, glass everywhere. He's like, ah! Just like Bill when we were trying to get him in the car. I haven't seen this guy since that last time. It's like, oh my God. No, your fucking childhood friend. No, not this shit again, dude. So he starts flipping. He's in my place, just not handling acid well. He's like, what's going on? I don't know. What? Just screaming at the top of his lungs. And I'm like, Nate, dude, he's got to calm down, dude. I got fucking warrants. And Nate's all fucked up on acid. He's like, no, I got it, man. No, it's all good, man. I'll get him. We'll go somewhere. Dude, Bill just keeps getting louder. Shit. I'm like, dude, you gotta go. Just get the fuck. Like I said, I got warrants. Any neighbors call the cops here, even if they're trying to think we're having whatever the fuck. I can't have the cops here, dude. I got warrants. He's like, I'll take him. While we're saying this, Bill stripped down to his underwear, like whitey tighties. The guy was like rocking whitey tighties. This is way after boxer briefs. The guy has whitey tighties. He's so fat. When you're so fat and you're wearing whitey tighties, you almost might as well be naked. It's like, dude, we can see everything. Dude gets down his whitey tighties. He was pulling him down somewhere. Dude, he just starts going down the middle of the street, screaming at the top of his fucking lungs. Just whitey tighties, barely hanging on, holes on him, it's all fucked up. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs, walking down my street. I was like, oh, thank God, at least he's leaving. That was the last I ever saw Bill. The last time I ever saw Bill, it's him walking down the road, half naked, screaming at the top of his lungs on acid. So, I don't know what happened to Bill after that. I don't think Silent Nate hung out with him too much after that. All right, man. That's my story. Talk to you all later.